This may come as a bit of a shock, but I have not read Beach Read. I know. Who am I? Where have I been living? It is one of her top rated, talked about books. So I thought it'd be fun to do a little comparison, reading Beach Read and then comparing it to Funny Story. I just got to the end of chapter 8, and Gus does a little walk to remember quote, which just brought me back to high school. That was the first book that I read that made me bawl like I've never cried before. That book just hit on so many levels for me. Like, reading their little talk about A Walk to Remember makes me want to reread the book and see if it still hits, you know? But I will say, I'm really liking Beach Read so far. I've read Book Lovers and Happy Place, and both have taken me a little time to get into. But this one, from the get-go, I was like in it. So I'm really liking the story so far. I'm resonating with January's grief that she's dealing with, and I like Gus. I like their little banter. Yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes, and I'm curious to see how Funny Story is gonna like measure up, because so far this one's doing really good. So I'm at the 200 page mark, and I'm a little bummed. I went to see how many pages were in the book, and I saw something on the last page. If you've read the book, you probably know what I saw. So it kind of gave away the ending. I'm so bummed. But at the point where I'm at right now, I'm liking the relationship between Gus and January. I like their banter. I like what January is going through in self-realizations and coping with certain things that have happened in her life. So it's going really well. It's been a couple days since I finished Beach Read. Lost my voice a little bit, so I wasn't able to speak on it. And I also started about 20 pages of Funny Story, but let's talk about Beach Read. So I think for me, the reason why it's such a well-loved book is because of January and the things she deals with outside of the relationship between her and Gus. I am probably going to give some spoilers, so if you have not read the book, I highly recommend skipping to this timestamp. So January goes through coping with her father's death, along with that realization that a relationship she was in with Jacques probably wasn't what she thought it was in her head. And I think a lot of people can relate to that because it goes beyond relationships. I think it also can correlate with friendships, where you think in the moment this relationship or friendship is so great, and then when maybe it falls off and isn't as strong as it was before, you have that time to really sit there and process that maybe there was an unbalance, maybe I wasn't who I am with this person. So I think that's highly relatable, and I think that's why this book is so well liked. I think the last scene you guys saw of me, I was kind of crying a little bit, and that led up to the point where January finds these letters from her father that he had written to her pretty much on every birthday that was approaching for her. And the reason I was crying was because when my father passed away, like, it was weird. In my mind, I was like, what if one day I found letters from him? So I was kind of like, oh, that's so beautiful. Like, getting some sort of closure, in a sense, to the things that came up with her father. So yeah, I was definitely like crying a little for that. Because it did hit a chord for me. So I definitely resonated a lot with January's character on the things she was dealing with that did not involve Gus. Now, let's talk about Gus and January, because I did enjoy their banter, like I mentioned a couple times. I liked the little notes they were kind of sharing with one another from the house, but then it made me think, like, how close are they? Because I have bad eyes. I'd be like, what? Can you just text me? But it was cute. I did like that. I will say I liked their relationship. I don't know if it was a strong enough build to the relationship, mainly because they were mostly together when they were doing the research on the book. So I don't know if there was like a strong connection I felt as far as what we read. We heard from January's point of view that they spent multiple days together. They would order takeout, they would hang out, watch movies, things like that. So that probably was the buildup of their relationship. We just didn't get to read it so much. And that's okay with me, because I know Emily Henry doesn't really want to focus on the relationship side. She really wants to show the female side of things and what they're dealing with, in hopes that you can resonate with that character. And so that's kind of how I took the relationship aspect part of it. I think that the books they were working on were weird, I'm gonna admit. Like, January's focus on the circus and that whole thing was a little odd. But overall, I really enjoyed the book. Out of the books I've read from her, which is Book Lovers and Happy Place, I resonate most with this lead character. So that's probably why I enjoy it so much. Not sure on the rating just yet, which usually means it's not a full 5-star. But yeah, we'll see. I'll rate it later. I'm gonna finish Funny Story and then I'm gonna rate both of them side by side. I'm looking a little hot messy. I'm 120 pages into Funny Story. I don't know how I'm feeling about this. I don't know where we're going in the story. I think we're trying to build up a relationship between our lead characters, but I don't know. I'm not really invested in them. I kind of ate up Beach Read. Like, I read it very quickly, and this one is pretty slow moving. So we have Daphne and Miles, whose significant others broke up with them, and now they're living together. So you're seeing them navigate through that. Daphne is kind of dealing with what January actually dealt with in Beach Read, where she was in a relationship and maybe it wasn't all that she thought it was in her mind. So she's kind of going through that reflection. It's just reading a little for me. I don't know, maybe it'll get a little better, but I'm not 100% invested just yet. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay, Funny Story. How do I feel about this book? I think where Beach Read lacked, as far as me wanting to know more about Gus and January and their relationship evolution, Funny Story had that. So we really got a lot more of romance in this one. So if you're looking for more of a rom-com with some insightful realizations, then I think you'll really like Funny Story. I did not particularly like Daphne. She read younger than she was to me. And I liked Miles. He works in the restaurant industry, so I mean, Crocs are a must, and he's a little more rugged, smokes a little weed. But yeah, I don't know about Daphne. I feel like I was more into wanting to know more about Ashley. And I definitely resonated more with Miles and his struggles with his family. So that was interesting. I was more like wanting to know more about him too versus Daphne's storyline. There's no doubt about it, when you read an Emily Henry book, you will see the similarities between all of her books, especially when you read them back to back. So you're not getting anything super groundbreaking, but her writing is really well done. You just know what to expect from Emily Henry. But I will say this one was a bit of a struggle for me just because I don't know, the lead, I wasn't really feeling her. So if you've read it, let me know. Let me know what your thoughts were. I'm curious. Okay, so in the end, I read them both back to back. We had a little bit of a battle going, and I think you probably know Beach Read is taking this one. I ultimately decided on a 4-star on Beach Read, and funny story, I'm going to be, I think, a 3-star. Thank you guys so much for watching this reading vlog. I had a lot of fun doing this, doing like a back-to-back comparison, even though they were slightly similar in certain aspects. I hope you guys have a great weekend, a great day, whenever you're watching this. I'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.